Welcome back to Vlogmas, or what I'm calling No More Miserymas, 24 videos to cheer you up during the December season. And something that I know can be on the horizon for a lot of people is the dreaded family Christmas gathering. Or maybe even just returning to your hometown in the month of December and meeting people who aren't in your immediate circles, people that like maybe have been living different lives to you but that you grew up with, and sometimes they have very different opinions to you about things. And there is this concept, I don't know, at least in the UK, where people are like, no politics at the table, like let's not talk about that, it's Christmas. But inevitably there are lots of like controversial issues that tend to come up anyway. So I thought I'd make a video to pre-plant some thoughts in your head before those situations arise, because I think there's a very fine line between letting people just get away with saying really random, incorrect stuff that's kind of harmful, and if they like go into January and February with those opinions, like other people could be hurt, but also like not trying to like lecture people or ruin a mood or spend all of your like Christmas glee energy like trying to change somebody's mind. Because at the end of the day, I think my biggest point for this video is people don't change their minds in front of you. People change their minds in private, mostly. I think a lot of people go into debates and stuff wanting to see people change in front of their eyes because they want to be the hero of somebody else's story, somebody else's growth. And that's just a bit weird and also just never going to be the case. So I guess my 3 points before we start are: people aren't going to change their mind in front of you. People who feel like they're being told off don't learn well. We know that from school. And make room for them to move into when they do change their mind. Sometimes I think we back people into a corner so they have no choice but to stick with their opinions and their beliefs. But to make room for them to move around and to like move into different areas, like metaphorically, is really like essential, and like you're not going to get anywhere without it. We love a kind but not unchallenged tiny conversation during Christmas that might just prod people to think in a different way, or at least to like look up their own facts that they're basing their beliefs on. I'm going to go through a few subject headings that you might confront. There probably are going to be like way more, so please leave your own suggestions and thoughts in the comments. But these are some of the headline ones that I thought of, and I kind of came up with a few little things that you can say in a kind way and just be like, well, that's interesting because this is what I think, or this is what I've found to be true, but you know, you're entitled to your opinion, I respect it, like I want to hear from you, or you know, that's just what I think, don't worry about it, kind of thing. You know, like I think it's good to just be like, oh, that's weird because that's not what I know to be true. But so these are my back pocket facts, things to know and look up and read about yourselves before you arrive at that table or at that pub. And I'm going to leave all of the links below to like back up what I'm saying, so you can fact check me and fact check yourself. Okay, the first one is refugees and asylum seekers. There's a difference. People often conflate them, and they are different things. Fact, there hasn't been any real jump in refugees and asylum seekers entering the UK in the last 10 years. Really, genuinely, barely any jump. Here's the graph. There is no such thing as an illegal asylum seeker. It is not illegal to enter the UK as an asylum seeker, somebody who is seeking asylum and would like to apply for it, not even by boat. Completely legal by boat. We even signed the 1971 UN convention to confirm that. Like it's a legal thing that we have agreed to. We signed it. It's a thing that is widely accepted as something that should be legal. I want to say end of story. I know that it won't be, but like eating meat. Now, I have a whole video on loads of arguments I used to have about eating meat, and I'll leave the link to the video up there. But another thing that I've just started kind of casually saying or nonchalantly saying is just like, people are like, oh, why don't you eat meat? And I'm like, oh, well, you know, we're all going to have to stop eating meat anyway. So I thought I'd just acclimatise early, you know, change it while I can. Might as well get used to it. After all, like 70% of all of Earth's available water is used up with agriculture, which like really isn't going to last. Like that's not a thing that we can keep doing logically. People love a bit of logic instead of emotion. I don't know why. I think we need both. But if you're going to go with the logical side of things, like it's just not possible. Every minute, the public, us, the people globally, provide the farming industry with $1 million in subsidies. So this isn't a good business plan. This is literally wasting money. This is not, we do not love it. We as like a planet can't afford it. If that is more helpful to phrase as we as Britain can't afford it, or we as the Netherlands can't afford it, customize as you need, but like generally just it's too expensive for the taxpayer to pay for. Let's not. And also when people are like, oh, that's cool, I kind of get it, but I could never do that, you can just be like, that's cool, but I've worked out that like for me it is possible, so I'm doing it because it's possible for me, and by me doing it and people who can do it, it makes it more possible in the future for you to be able to do it. So I'm excited to see you become a vegetarian or a vegan in the future. Wow. So excited for you. Another topic that has been in the news for several years running now around Christmas is Shamima Begum. If you're not from the UK, this might not be a story in your country, so I'll leave links below if you want to read about it. But in short, it is illegal to make anyone stateless. It's against international law. We can't do it. I find that in the absence of compassion, people really like rules. So when I've stated that rule at them, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I also just generally believe, and perhaps you do believe as well, and it's good to put that belief out there, that behavior shouldn't determine somebody's nationality. That's weird, and also could lead to a meltdown of literally everything. So we should uphold things like behavior shouldn't determine somebody's nationality. Like surely that's a thing we should fight for, because behavior is subjective and under scarier governments, is it more possible to have scarier governments than we have now? I don't know. That's something that could definitely be abused and something we should defend. There's also the argument for politicians that we can't bring her back to the UK because she's like too dangerous. She poses a threat. And to that, I'd say like, wow, what does that say about the weakening of the UK police force that they can't escort one, in inverted commas, potential criminal back to the UK? Like, oh, how bad is our police force? What's going on with the army? Are we that's shoddy? If we can't escort one woman home because this is her home and potentially put her on trial and put her in prison, as we are capable of doing and have done with so many other people, like we literally have thousands of terrorists in UK prisons, and we also have de-radicalization programs. Like it's a thing we've set up for. We've planned for this. We as a country's system would be ready and have all of the available stuff to receive somebody like Shamima Begum if she was ruled to be appropriate to get into prison. You know what I mean? And also on a wider point, if we let the kids of this country watch the way we treat Shamima Begum, what does that say to the kids that aren't white of the UK? Kids that were born here, kids that have UK passports, this is their home. You're basically saying your status as at home is forever pending. Shouldn't have to explain why that is fucked, but like the implications of letting people watch this, go through this on TV for this one woman are huge. This isn't just about Shamima Begum, and I think the politicians know that. But that's just me. Bodies. People like to comment on whether you've gained or lost weight at Christmas. Goody. What I would say to that is that I think I view people's bodies and people's weight and how people might perceive that weight as personal as somebody's bank statement. Just say that. Like, I think that's a personal thing to talk about. It's a weird thing to bring up when I haven't seen you all year, or, you know, that it's not something that I've asked to talk about. And if you would like to discuss my weight and how healthy you think I am without following me around every day, I would also like to afterwards get you to print off your latest bank statement and let's chat through all the ways you spent your money this month, because I'd love to know. I'll link a video up here where I talk about this more, but like also our perception of what is a healthy body is often based on this idea of BMI, which was only measured on white men. So I don't frickin' trust it. The fact that the NHS still uses BMI is like literally hilarious to me, and that's a whole story for another day, but do learn about it a little bit so you can chat to people about it. Be like, oh, fun fact, did you know that BMI is literally the least scientific thing we could ever base our judgments of bodies on? And if they suggest a diet to you, a restrictive diet, you can talk about how low-calorie diets actually send signals to our brains and tell our metabolisms that we potentially live in a very volatile place, like starving your body or taking vast amounts of calories out of your diet makes your body think that maybe the area that you live in is prone to famine and that it should store as much as possible. And that's sometimes a permanent change in your metabolism. It's called the weight set point. I read a book on it. It's really good. And actually going on these low calorie diets can shift your weight set point to have a larger body for life. And if all else fails, a good old little joke that's like, oh, I don't know if you've read, but there's a climate crisis on and I don't know how much food's going to be available in the next 10 years, so this is my apocalypse body. I'm ready. Way to bring down the mood, Lena. And then finally, obviously Brexit might come up. And to this I say, I want another referendum. There are still people like asking for that. I don't know how much it's going to help. To be honest, it's not the biggest focus of my life right now, but it's a thing. I'll leave the links in the description. But I guess also this idea of like wanting to vote on it is asking for more democracy, asking for another referendum, or asking for more voting, or a change of things, or like people getting a say in what happens with the implications of Brexit and how we live afterwards. Like, that's asking for more democracy, not less. Keep it coming. Where is this like like democracy scarcity mindset? More democracy, not less. And then also there's this really funny sketch with James Acaster where he talks about, I'll leave the link below, but like somebody going into a restaurant and reading from a menu and ordering this beautiful meal, and then the server being like, yeah, thanks for your order, just so you know, the people who wrote that menu don't work here and none of that food is available, so is it okay if I go into the kitchen and negotiate a pile of shit for you to have instead and bring that out to you? You're allowed to revoke your order at a restaurant if the menu was fictional.
Hello, you ordered a steak earlier. I was been sent to check, is a plate of shit okay? That to me is a very reasonable question to ask someone.
It's really funny, and I think like watching it might help you, or even showing that to them might help you have a better like chat about it. Sources are in the description. Not sources, but sources. Although if I could leave ketchup for you in the description, I would. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is part of Vlogmas 24 videos to cheer you up. We're calling it No More Miserymas, and there is a playlist here that you can click on. These videos are free to watch, but to support me and to make them keep happening, you can either join the Gumption Club or you can click the super thanks button below. I am going to see you, surprisingly, tomorrow. Have good conversations and eat good food. Merry Christmas. Frog Snog out.